The floors were atrocious in our house when we moved in. The previous owners had amassed a great quantity of wide-width chestnut to install during their renovation in the 60s, but their project went over budget and they had to sell the flooring. This is, we think, why they refinished only the outside edge of the floor in the living room, covering the paint splotches with a beautiful antique rug. We don't have a beautiful antique rug, but then I realized that just a little bit of sanding and some tung oil could make a huge improvement. Once I did that, I thought maybe I could tackle the floors in Charlie's room with just a random orbital sander. Why didn't I do any research about how floors should actually be refinished? I've thought a lot about that. I was so happy that I'd found a way to improve our floors inexpensively, I didn't want anything to slow me down. I was convinced I couldn't afford or handle the proper equipment, and so I didn't want to read anything that told me those things were definitely necessary. It turns out lots of people in my situation suffer from the same affliction. We could call it floor sanding denial. 2 days into my hand sanding adventure, I finally decided to research how to properly sand a floor. I found a montage video made by a professional mocking the many people who have done all the dumb things I was doing. I felt properly called out. I watched all of his videos. I bought his guide. And I finally rented a drum sander. Everything's terrible because I blew a breaker and I finally found what breaker it is. It's actually the living room outlets that control all the outlets on the exterior wall here and in the living room and in the room next to me. The hallway plugs still work, and I've now checked, though I should have checked before, that as long as I run just the sander on the remaining electricity that works in the house, it should be fine. Should is the operative word here. It makes me extremely nervous. I am quite demoralized, I would say, before I even begin, especially since right before the breaker blew, it just was like very intimidating how that thing is. It's a monster and it's ruining everything. And I don't know why I did this. That's how I feel right now. All right, let's just record this to the second attempt. And the sander's plugged in the hallway, and the vacuum is plugged in with an extension cord outside, far away. All right, things are working, which is exciting. Definitely taking a ton of material off. I can't say I fully understand what's going on here because the lighter bits seem to be where it's taking material off, and then this is really like darker. Supposed to be making just like one pass with this. I think it wouldn't probably be wise to go multiple times, or I don't know, because this is not evening. Should I go over it until it's even and see? Because I don't have any. I have 36 and the 80 that's on here. I don't know. I'm getting the hang of it. It is the case that at first what I thought was smooth, as it removes, it actually is less. There's a different kind of bare wood underneath what I had revealed with the random orbital sander. So you can see the lighter that I've been getting at. And what that potentially means is that I should change my grit to try the 36 and just make a single pass across. It's more aggressive, and then move up, because I thought I'd removed a lot, but actually I do still need to remove quite a bit. So I'm gonna try a lower grit, a more coarse paper, and see what happens. All right, maybe this is what it takes to get down to the bottom, but this is so rough. It's really roughed up the surface so much. There's, that's maybe how it's supposed to be. And maybe that helps me get through stuff quicker, but I'm nervous about doing that. Actually, I think what will make me feel better is if I do that and then I put the 80 back on, and then I see what it looks like after that in just this one spot. It makes sense. It's just kind of nerve-wracking, I guess, because I had this impression that I had removed the material I needed, but actually the whole reason I need this thing is because I hadn't removed enough material. I kind of like polished the surface, so. No longer scared of 36. Clearly, it's taking material off more effectively. There's still these ridges, and what's interesting is the rationale given for the waves in How to Sand a Floor, the YouTube channel, is that when boards stop and a new board starts, you're gonna fall off the edge of one board, and that's why you're gonna kind of have these issues. We don't have any boards stopping except for a couple of places over here. That's not really the case here. We just have an incredibly wavy floor. Gosh, like looking at this floor now, I can really see that it was not clean. And I'm so glad I got this. I'm still not loving doing it, but maybe I'll start to feel a little bit more confident. I don't know. I'm just gonna take it diagonal for a second and just see what kind of craziness ensues. It would make it a lot easier to do this at this corner because it is such an awkward shape. But I don't know if it's necessary. I'm just gonna keep at it. I keep thinking I'm done with 36, and then I kind of take a step back and I'm like, no, you know what? There's still stuff. It's still not clean enough right in here.
will that matter? I think this provides some evidence that it does matter. I mean, I've sanded it and stuff, but like when it's not clean, then it's gonna show the variation when I put a finish on. Well, there's clearly a difference. I took it from 36 to 80 to 100 before moving the bed. I will probably want to rent an edger, but now I have this whole side to do, and there's quite a difference. But I think because this is a longer run and less things in the way, I'm hopeful that I can go through this process quicker. We'll see. There's just still dirt in the floor. At some point, I'm just gonna call it good enough because I'm learning and I'm gonna get better with new rooms. And you know, you can see that I had it cleaned out as much as I could yesterday, but already like we've got toys and pajamas because we have to live in this house. So it's not possible to just kind of like set a space completely out of use. And so anyway, this room, I just need to edge. And I went to rent an edger and they didn't have one. And also, I think like this seems so foolish given what I learned yesterday, but I'm just gonna take our random orbital, I'm gonna put the 40 grit on it, and I'm gonna see if I can get the edges to match the clean that I got in the center of the floor. And if I can, that'll be fine. If I need something more powerful, then I'm gonna do some research because now I'm very committed to refinishing all of our floors myself. And so what if there is like the perfect edging tool that we should get and then sell, you know, once I'm done, instead of renting all the time the edger, because I will definitely not be buying a drum sander. We'll always be renting that. And I'm never going to have a day where I rent the drum sander and the edger because the drum sander is always going to take the maximum time in the day that I rent it. And so then to return and get an edger and rent that for the next day, maybe that'll be my process. But if I can get away with doing it with a tool I already have, maybe we can. But I'm learning a lot about the investment in a professional grade tool. And even the thing that I rented, I know is created for DIYers. It's not a professional grade tool. It would be even better. This material came off much easier. It's pine in here, and I love the grain. I'm so pleased with it, how pretty I think it's gonna look. And I'm gonna try, now I did try to sand it on my own before the drum sander, and it was taking a while. So I'm not too hopeful about this edging it myself with the random orbital sander. Maybe I'll get the other sander and just see if it's different. I have another palm sander that I could try. So, and then in here, this is an interesting test for what it would have been like if I had just gone straight to renting the drum sander with these fir floors. It looks about like Charlie's room looked after I did the random orbital the first time. This is a lot cleaner. And that was with the 36 grit, which I remember in the rental place, he was like, we also have 20 grit. And I was like, I don't need that. There's no way I need that. That looks terrible, horrible, too rough. But I actually think next time I rent the drum sander, I'm going to get 20 grit because it would have just taken it off lickety split. And then I could use the others and clean it up. All the scratch marks would come out. So I'm going to call this room not done yet. This is started. The other thing we've decided is after renting a drum sander, you've already made an investment. You got to get the best sealer for the floor. So we're going to get the Bona HD and do that on Charlie's room first and see how it looks and how we like it. But that might be what we wind up using everywhere. After a while, it becomes easier to run to put the drum down and pick it up. And it's a little bit like driving a stick. Like you engage and you take it out like you would put the clutch in. And so that started to get more natural feeling, which is a little bit why I'm inclined to do more now to kind of solidify that muscle memory. I think with this tool, I will be able to edge just fine. It also just worked in the bedroom with the fur. It's pretty terrible. I feel about how I felt when I was using the other one. So I've watched Ben do this many times. He moves like this, 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 and then like this right by the edge and then picks it up. And so I'm gonna try just that motion. And I'll stop if it seems like it's really like the 40 is too strong, because maybe I should do 60 to start, because this is just such a concentrated power all on this one part of the disc. It may not need the 40. Okay, so it's hilarious how much faster it is than the other machine. And I think that 40 is right, and I think it's not gonna be that bad. This is actually gonna be just fine. And once I do this, the little bit that was right at the edge from the drum sander kind of goes away. I should probably make sure it does, and I should just go in, over that until that's gone. Not multiple times, like it really seems like I need to evenly do one pass with the 40 and then go right along the edge. This is great, and I think I can do like this. What I did basically was good. I should have finished that out. So I can do 1, 2, finish this out, and then go 1, 2, 3 right there. Maybe that works. Probably the video shows the entire time that I'm just gradually making my way toward this nail, which messed up my pad and created huge gouges. Oh, stupid Mary. But, oh my God, look at that. Looks so good and so much easier. So much easier than the other tool. Definitely, this is the right tool. I am so encouraged and excited. I'm not doing this room, so I'm gonna stop in here, and I'm also gonna get hearing protection, and I don't know if you can see, but I'm gonna show you all the dust that's accumulating here. I am going to hook up the vacuum because why not? work here. And I gave up on trying to get this clean with the edger, and maybe I shouldn't have, you know, maybe I should let it push this board down so that it can get this clean. I haven't pushed this nail down, so that's gonna dull my blade. My pad. You can see over here, there's a spot that I missed. And what I've gotten here is a lamp. Ben recommends a flashlight, but the lamp is gonna be really helpful when I am using the random orbital sander to get it clean, because I can see the scratches. I know what I'm gonna have to work out. I'm really excited though. I think this is going way quicker than I thought. The other thing I wanted to show is over here. Oops, the lamp can't go that far. Over here, it's like dirtier. It makes sense that it would be harder to get it clean right on this edge. So I'm kind of like working it until it looks clean. And that's gonna take a little bit of time. There's also there were, when I first started this, pretty deep grooves in this pine that are starting to level out. And in just a moment, I'm gonna do this corner, which I barely did, and Ben gave some suggestions on working in a tight space like this where I couldn't go back and forth with the drum sander. So he suggests going from one side to halfway in with the edger, and then on the other side to halfway in, and then to come back and edge the around the outside. Multi-tool. This part I always forget. I know that I have to go like this, really push. Ah, look at that. This I used recently. So now, I don't think I recorded Devin doing this. Oh, I know. It's like this, and then it swivels so that I can get this in. This is how the piece is gonna clean. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's right. Go like this, go like this, go like this. Yes, that's it. And then it fits here, and then I can let this go. And now it's secure, and I can choose if I want it this orientation or something else, and I think that'll be fine. All right, let's plug this puppy in. We're pretty good. used 40 and I did the hallway first. And the pine is easier to clean. So I was a little nervous because I got into the bedroom with the fir and the 40 was just getting torn up really quick, partly because the floor is uneven in there, so it was wearing unevenly. But I wound up having to use 60 for most of the perimeter of the bedroom. And I just tested, and with a 60 grit on the random orbital, the scratch marks from that edger's 60 grit get kind of erased. But I just tested here where I use the 40, and I probably have 40 grit on the random orbital, but I think I'm gonna try, while I have the edger before I return it, to go around just right here and test if I run the 80 on the edger over the entire corner here, if when I come back with the light, if I could erase those scratch marks with the random orbital, perhaps with the 60 that I have on it, or maybe even higher grit. All right, let's compare. The scratch marks are here, you can clearly see them. But I guess my question is, are the scratch marks here, they're erasing the deeper scratch marks, and can these scratch marks be removed with the random orbital more easily? Organize, I don't want to do more work than I need to, but I also don't want to not use the edger if I have it right now. I should be using it if that'll help. Not really very easy to get these scratch marks out still. Oh, does that mean that I have to do the edger 80, 80, 80, then 100, 100, 100, and just do it? Yes, probably so. That's what I'm gonna do. I am so exhausted. Edging is way harder than the drum sander. And I have just summoned the will to go around everywhere with the 80 grit on the edger before I have to bring it back. I suppose I could keep it another day, but I don't want a single another second with this thing. So 80 has been done all around. I have checked with the random orbital sander, and the 80 is, I believe, clearing the gouges from before, and the scratches from the 80 grit are easy to remove. So I can do my final buffing with 100 on, or 80, and then 100 with this delightful little orbital sander that has a vacuum attached. I can't wait to just sit on this little stool and hold that cute little orbital sander and finish this up. But first I have to bring the bleepity bleep, bleep bleep edger back. It definitely did its job, but God, it's heavy. Last night I raced to do 80 grit with the orbital sander everywhere. I'm really, thinking that though I thought this was the easiest floor to do, it's the hardest. The pine is so much easier in the hallway to make it look clean. I also realized, I should have taken some time and just figured out how to take this thing off. I looked this morning though, and I don't want to destroy it. And it was built in place, and it's potentially just affixed to the wall. So I'm not gonna mess anymore with that, but it is a bummer because that would have saved me a ton of time. I would have had more room to move side to side here, but oh well. I am gonna use the palm sander, which is square, to get in some of the places that I have corners still messed up. And I'm just gonna try to not worry about the fact that I can only get so far with the edger, and then sometimes the edger went in a little too far, so there's this wooden board along the bottom underneath that is just butchered. It looks terrible. But this is my first room. There's a bunch of things that I can now do differently, including when I do the larger spaces like the living room and the dining room, I will take the time to rent the buffer to do that final work without coming around. Because maybe that would be the thing to kind of clean this up and make it look like, maybe it looks dirty right now just because it's dusty. I don't know, I kind of doubt it. I know this is gonna sound crazy to be encouraged by this, but the fact that this tool could get under here and help me smooth out the sort of unevenness is so encouraging, because if I just take my time, I can do a good job in here. And having the bed out means that I can really do a good job, and I want to take the time to do that. And so maybe not all the coats are on today. That is okay. The bed is out. Charlie's sleeping out of this room tonight, and their boys are excited to have a slumber party. So I don't know why that was stopping me before.
Wow, Mary, that's beautiful.
You really think so?
Absolutely.
I'm really excited with how it looks. It looks way better than it did when it was wet from the water popping. Even this room, it's not perfect, but it doesn't look bad. I mean, these floors are, if our understanding is correct, 120 years old. And I know when I look at this compared to what they did look like, it's a dramatic difference. So this is one coat of primer. I'm so pleased I was able to sand underneath that built-in. Well, I'm really well acquainted with this floor. I've just hand sanded all of it, and then I've gone around on my hands and knees, tack clothing after vacuuming. And this, I think, is how you become a homeowner. You can be a homeowner if you don't do this yourself, but this house especially, it's like as I restore different pieces of it, it becomes my responsibility, and it's lovely. I love these floors and all of their slight imperfections that are my fault. It's really a nice feeling. So I'm about to put the final coat of Bona Mega 1 on. I had to wait all day for it to be ready for me to do this. I kept coming up to sand and it was still tacky. And I did it at like 8 this morning, but it's just the humidity of July. So, whew, almost done. Of course, the morning after I put the final coat, it's absolutely gorgeous, cool, low humidity weather. It's so beautiful. And I'm aware of the things that I've done that aren't great. So you can see in this light, you can see the ridges. Echo! There's also the ridges from my from the drum sander, which you can see there. But then, like, there's a lot of unevenness. I was not sure if I could possibly have done damage by doing the whole thing with the random orbital, and I still think that I really didn't. I took with the drum sander much more wood off than I did with the random orbital, which I don't think that I created any of the unevenness. I think that the floors just could have used more sanding than I was able to accomplish. When I do this again, I'll absolutely clear a room completely to sand it and keep it empty the whole time. Now I am gonna take off this thing, which I never let myself stop to take off while I was working, even though I kept noticing it. And I think I'm gonna try to put some fresh coat of paint on the baseboards at least. Give everything a chance to fully cure. It's supposed to cure for 5 days. Look at that. So much better. I can't wait to see a side by side when I edit this video.